Yay, it says I'm live. Hey, look, you can see Mount Shasta behind me. Da, da, da. I'm technically on Mount Shasta, just a little ways down the hill from Old Ski Bowl today. It's kind of chilly, so um, got my coat on. Yesterday I went to the fair, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I'm trying to pull up some pictures. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. It's been a pretty well, I was gonna say I was gonna say something about my week, but I have to think about what my week has entailed before I can say anything about my week. Other than going to the fair, which was super fun. The Siskiyou County Fair is happening in Wairika right now, and I usually go every year. Oh, this is a video. Okay, stop playing. Um, and this year I went into like the animal places. Usually I get really emotional and like end up walking out because it's really sad to see all the animals. They have like a live auction there, which I peeked in for like a few seconds. I have a really nice view here too. Oh, whoops, whoopsie daisy. See, look at this beautiful view on the other side of me. All right. Anyways, there's like a live auction going on, and one of the cows was going for like $8 a pound. And I went up to one of the girls later and asked her how big her cow was. And I think she said it was like 1,400 plus pounds. So multiply that by eight, and I mean, that's the industry that these people are working with. And it's really sad to see that these kids are kind of like, well, not kind of. They're being taught that it's okay to raise animals for these purposes. They're being desensitized from to these practices from a really young age. The whole concept of like, even raping an animal into existence, like the animal was brought into this world for this purpose. And yeah, there are some that are treated better than others. Like the show sheep. I don't know what they're called, but whatever. Like the ones that are there for show, right? The ones that are not actually being milked and raised to slaughter. They're being raised to like look at the horses that are being raised like for beauty. All these things, which I'm not saying is right, right? Like I don't believe that we should be doing that either. But at least they're treated better in most cases than the ones that are. Um, oh, this one's being raised. Let's see how fat we can get this beef cow, right? So that we can make the most money, so that whatever, they're like impressed by how big these animals are. But then you start to like their bodies aren't made to handle this extra weight and stuff. Even on my Facebook, the picture. Hey, David D, I was just going to mention you, so I wanted to say hi, Kyle, how's it going? um I'll check the live chat in just a second, but when David paid for that cow hug therapy for me for Christmas, by the way, thank you again. Um, One of the cows, like this bull that was being raised for beef, was like they're just enormous in general. But he was so big, like his hind legs, he couldn't, stand like in a square. The hind legs were like at a triangle because he was so heavy that it was just impossible for like him to bear his own weight, um, you know, normally. And that's not the only issue that these cows face. Like the dairy cows to produce all of that milk, like they're being bred unnaturally to do that. And all of the like nutrients are being constantly sucked from their bodies, right? Like you don't just make like a mom doesn't just make milk and like there obviously is a spiritual aspect to it. If you're starving and you hadn't eaten, like, your body could produce it in these situations. But I'm talking about these extreme situations where the cows are like being expected to produce, like, I read an article the other day where it was saying that like the vast majority of dairy is coming from a very few farms. And these cows are like expected to produce way more than even in years past. And yeah, all of that. the milk requires nutrients, right? And it's just getting sucked constantly from their body, and like osteoporosis and other, like, let's just focus on osteoporosis for a second, right? Because that's like the calcium being leached from your bones and going into that milk. And then you turn around and you drink that your whole life, and then you end up with osteoporosis, right? It's like a direct karmic link. And that's not the only issue that comes from milk and dairy and everything. So, anyways, it's really sad to see these kids being desensitized to it, but it was really cool to go and love on some of these animals. I got some pictures that I wanted to post, which you already seen the one that's, um, oh, look at how cute it is. These cows, like, some of them were just looking right at me, and I felt this one, like, he tried to kiss me. Like, whoa there, buddy. I'm just gonna try to find the picture really quick because it's really, animals are really quite funny to interact with in general, and yeah. Anyways, I'm kind of like leaning back from the cow because he's coming at me. It's just really, it was a cute experience. This might be a video, so I have to post some of this stuff later. Oh, there it is. That is a really cute video, actually. Oh, look at how cute it is. I love cows so much. I would, I was like trying to think of how much I would need to go in and buy all of those cows that were in there, but like $8, only one is over 1,400 like pounds. That's crazy. But yeah, there's all sorts of little sheep and stuff that I went and, let me try to pause this. Can't really see because they're more videos than other. Uh, it was kind of interesting, some of the sheep, because their fur actually feels like just straight up carpet. So, anyways, there's also this little petting zoo area that I went into, and these goats were trying to eat the leaves off the trees. So I went and was like, if I could have snapped the branch of the tree, I seriously would have broken it down. But like, I started pulling down the leaves, and then all of a sudden, after just a little while, I had like all of the goats in the whole enclosure just surrounding me, trying to eat all of the leaves that I was pulling down. I'm not sure if this is a video or not, but that's so funny. Yeah, so they were all, like, coming up, and the lady that was running it was like, "Hey, you can't do that. Don't be teasing the goats." I'm like, "Do I look like I'm teasing the goats? I'm literally trying to feed them." Oh, these videos are great. Anyways, so yeah, I had a really good time in general, and I saw, maybe, I think last year I posted a live video from the fair with the hypnotist. They were there again, and they actually did like this danger magic beforehand, which I should have went live for, but I was wearing a dress and I didn't have anywhere to put my phone anyways. So um, yeah, it was kind of interesting to watch because magic a lot of times is just illusions, right? It's like just sleight of hand type tricks, but other times it is actual, like, they're getting demonic assistance. And obviously angels could do the same types of things, but they're not really focused on, like, this supposed guy was using like razor blades to cut paper, and they showed that it was super sharp. Didn't pick up their litter, by the way. I saw you, litter bug, multiple times. Anyways, um he didn't he put all these razor blades in a cup and then put like juice in it, and then swallowed the cup and like was pretending like he was bleeding by spitting out this grape juice stuff, whatever. And then later pulled out the blades on this string. So it's kind of interesting to watch in real life these kinds of things happen and try to, like, yeah, demons will definitely give you the ability to do these types of things. But obviously, you have to give them something in return, right? They're not just like, even if it's just being a vessel for them to like interact with and experience the world through you, um, any sorts of connections like that. But obviously, being an invert, they go from just connecting with you, and even, humans can be possessed too, but once you start allowing the inverted demons to take control, then you're really no longer in control, and it's kind of a different situation. But yeah, anyways, Kyle says, did you fast from social media for 3 days? I have kind of been in my own little world lately, and yeah, I got the full moon coming up, so I'm going to be focused on that. But um yeah, so I just don't really have anything that I'm focused on either. Like, I'm not, I don't know. Veganism is kind of like the most important thing for me right now, because that's what's going to change everything that we are going through. So that's kind of the only thing that I'm focused on posting, and I just haven't felt like doing that. So I'll have to post some of these pictures and stuff. Oh yeah, last week when I went to the falls, let me try to see, because I got a little picture of me feeding a deer. It was so cool. So I've had a lot of interactions with animals lately, and it's been a really awesome and healing experience. Hopefully for them too. I'm really big on consent as well when it comes to animals. It's like, if you don't want me to love on you, then I'm not going to. Like, the animal needs to, if they back away and stuff, it's like, all right, that's just what it should be with animals, right? If they want to be our friends, then they can come up and interact with us, and then they can leave whenever they want. It shouldn't be this like gotcha type situation where we're like forcing them into cages, and just forcing them, even if it's just loving on them, right? Like, you know I guess it depends on the person, but how would you feel, if someone's just forcing their love on you, and like they're just gonna be even rapey type, it's not good. Consent is what we need in these situations. So anyways, yeah, I got to feed a deer out of my hands recently, and that was really cool. So I'm just kind of blabbing on right now. But that's what's going on. Hey, Kev Fortuna, how's it going? Do you know any support, cool, emotionally turbulent women that may identify as bi? Um, I just used to be let in, but now I'm an invert. Interesting. I Do I know any support, cool, emotionally turbulent women that may? I don't understand the question, but I can't say that I know any emotionally turbulent women that may identify as bisexual. I don't mean to laugh about that. It's not funny, but it's just kind of like, I wasn't expecting that kind of question. So no. Um, who would be? David D says, I'm exhausted. I only got off work at 6 a.m. Think I'm gonna need a coffee today. You know what's funny, David, is that I was laying in bed this morning and thinking about a coffee, and I ended up getting a coffee, but the last post that I read was actually saying about how bad coffee is. And it was kind of making me feel convicted about like needing to stop with my coffee addiction. But also it's kind of like, the angel on the shoulder is like, oh, this is a great sign. We should stop, having coffee, having caffeine in general. And then the demon's like, oh, well, then that means that there's only so many coffees left, that we just need to like embrace it and have it while we can. So yeah, there's always this internal, struggle, and not just with like demons too, with ourselves, and trying to like fight off the programming from our lifetime, from previous lifetimes that we haven't, dealt with, and all of that. So it's an interesting battle. But yeah, David, this is what they were saying. Is what are they saying? Mice? Oh, spiders. Just kidding. Duh. That's why there's spider webs. I have no idea. Anyways, what happened to the web building capacity of spiders fed caffeine compared to a bunch of other drugs? Oh, you can kind of see how messed up caffeine there is at the bottom. But it's also saying that MRI images taken before and after 1 cup of coffee showed a decrease in blood flow to the brain by 52%. And there's an interesting book. I haven't read it, but it looks interesting, I guess I should say, called Caffeine Blues: The Wake Up to the Hidden Dangers of America's Number One Drug. Obviously, there's a reason that, um, I mean, ultimately, everything that we're given is given to us for a purpose. And it's like the worst things are promoted for us. Coffee, meat. I don't even want to say meat. I want to say the flesh of innocence, cow's tit secretions, beef vomit. All of these things are promoted as, good, and made readily available for a reason, and they cause all of these sorts of issues. So it's no wonder, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and like every coffee is just so promoted. And yeah, all of the interesting long-term effects of coffee, and then you mix it with sugar. Guilty. I'm preaching to myself. So don't take anything that I say as negative towards any coffee drinkers out there, because I got my own issues. But yeah. Kyle says mushroom coffee. Does that taste like mushrooms? What does it actually taste like? I don't like the taste of coffee, and I don't feel I would like the taste of mushroom coffee either. Um, but the things that I was reading about caffeine, it's often in tea too, which I don't think it's in peppermint tea, so that's a good thing. But even tea, like they say that tea leaves are really good at absorbing fluoride and other, I guess, like chemtrails and stuff too. So that kind of sucks as a tea drinker, um, and makes me look forward to the golden age, right? So it's kind of like the disappointing part, but then it's like, oh, well, we can make this better in the future, and kind of just try to lean onto the hopeful side and not focus so much about the world as it is right now, because it can be really depressing. And yeah, David D says internal struggle, exactly. Even just the whole awakening process and seeing how dark everything is, and it can be really hopeless and sad. And I guess I don't know. I was gonna say easy to go back to sleep, but obviously you can't. I can't speak for anybody else but myself. I couldn't go back to sleep, right? There's no way that I could just be like, oh, let's just forget everything I've learned and become a globetrot tomorrow and just vote for anybody. Like, I couldn't just get back into the matrix system. I couldn't just fall back asleep. Now, could I like ignore that and like just go off and do my own thing and just forget the world? Like, that's a different story. But then it's like you can't really escape the situation, no matter how much you might want to try to run from it. Is always like, you know you're still living in the world, and you still need to go and function in the world to some extent, unless you're living off the grid. And even then, I mean, you just can't escape the situation that we're in. So yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that. Oh, thank you, David, for saying that. There's no way to go back to sleep, exactly. um yeah, so there's only kind of one way to just press forward and keeping our focus on the golden age and what we can create together. Like well, we've talked, as in I've talked before about, the powers that be. It's pretty obvious that they're united in their plans against us, in our demise, right? Um, Making their new world order happen, even when they're divided in public, right? Like they have Trump and Biden, like what is it, Kamala these days? I have no idea who is even in the presidential thing, because I don't care. They're always selected, not elected. That was like one of the first things that thankfully I learned when I started awakening, all the way back in 2015. Which, I mean, it's pretty obvious anyways. Like the whole system is corrupt and whatever, but that really helped me not fall for the Trump Kool-Aid cult Kool-Aid, because I already knew that presidents were selected, not elected. And I'm like, this person is just telling me what I want to hear so that I will cheer for them. And I'm like, darn it, if you were not saying all of the right things, right? Like, patriotic side and everything, like, it's the perfect Manchurian candidate to control the Patriots. And that's ultimately what they want. Like, I'm not sure, like, left and right, both sides are controlled. But there is an uncontrolled element, especially with the side of people with guns, the ones that are passionate about their freedom, that are willing to literally go to war, right? Their heroes are these founding fathers, these militiamen, these military men, whatever you want to call them, that um, went to war for their country, for their family, for their whatever. Right? They're ready to go fight, right? And there's only one side of the left or right thing that's kind of actually willing to fight at the end of the day. So more effort needs to be put into controlling that side. And for those of you who are still hung up on Trump, just look into the history. Like, first of all, follow the money. Rothschild bailed Trump out of debt. Soros funded Trump Tower. Trump was foreshadowed as president on the Lego movie, on The Simpsons. There's just so many different connections that show that Trump is, controlled. They're on the temple coin for Israel, the Rothschild state that you can't like go against and all this programming, right? Like, I don't know about you, but my family, the Christian circle that I come from is like, if you go against Israel, you're going against God, like that. Whatever Israel does, I mean, I don't even know where they draw the line, because like you can, I don't believe news stories, but like you can read some really horrible stories about Israel, and it's kind of like, do you guys still support this? Do you understand that? Do you think that there's a little bit of corruption here? Can we acknowledge that this is definitely not coming from God, right? But even like biblical prophecies show that Israel, like the state that is supposed to be developed, that hasn't been, is going to be like, they follow God's laws. They are like a holy and upright, moral people, right? And that's definitely not what we have there today. Um, I myself believe that this is the future Israel, the holy mountain, and the start of the golden age. Um, so yeah, that was the end of that train of thought. It stopped there. So hey, cool. How's it going? Kool-Aid, the Q, yeah, the Trump Q psyop. And what are my thoughts on firearms? I love guns. Oh, but that was another thing I was going to say about Trump, is that Trump supports red flag laws. Those, oh, hey, my neighbor said something I don't like and they might be a terrorist, so they shouldn't have a gun. And then the government comes and takes your guns. Trump supported that. For any other flat earthers, Trump supported the space deception with Space Force. They're budgeting like so much money to put into this deception. What else? They brag about being the father of the COVID jab. It's an invert. Like, there's just too many red flags. And yeah, I don't know. The Q psyop has really done a good job of convincing people that Trump is a wild card, and all of this other. I don't. Yeah, I've never seen anything from them that's actually convincing. So, so I'm like scratching my head, like, how do you guys even? But how do you have so many people convinced, right? But people want to believe, they want hope, especially if you show them something so traumatizing, like they deliberately unveiled, unraveled, unrevealed, whatever. um, they told us about all of like this child trafficking and these horrible things, at the same time that they're like, oh, but don't worry, we got Trump right here, patting Trump on the back, like, that's bad, but don't worry, we got a hero. Sit back, don't do anything, trust the plan. We got it taken care of. Like, so it was a pretty good psyop, and I'm definitely grateful for the eyes to see, I guess, to put it shortly, whatever. Anyways, David D says no one wakes up to flat Earth then goes back to being a globetard. Yeah, it's interesting to see the ones that talk about what, hollow Earth or whatever. Um, I don't believe any of them go from the knowledge of water doesn't bend, thinking that it bends this way, to bending this way. Like, water doesn't bend either way. It's not concave, it's not convex, it's completely flat. Um, so yeah, I think they're all shills. But then there's so many different psyops, and there's so many different souls that are taking charge in. There's a bug on my leg. I don't like it. Um, taking these teacher roles in these psyops and promoting them, and they'll come along with like the most convincing thing. Like, I was just talking to someone the other day about how how they have these elaborate psyops to get people to drink their pee, right? Like your gut reaction and anything that you like, someone's like, hey, here's a cup of pee, you want to have it? And you're just like you are repulsed by them, right? You want to puke, you're just like, you need to go like get some demons out of you for even offering me that. Like, why would you? Anyways, but with enough people and they tell you, oh, your body isn't, getting all the nutrients from it. It's not waste. You grew up in it in your mom's womb. Like they just give you all of these things to try to convince you. And it's like with every single topic that they can, especially with the truthers, they want us to be. It's kind of funny how arrogant that you know, uh, Big Bang atheist globetard is, and how like they know for sure that God isn't real. They know how, like they just are so sure of themselves and they're so wrong. And then we start waking up and we're like, you guys need to not be so sure of yourselves because you're completely wrong. But then we start falling into the same trap of like these different psyops, and then we're wrong, right? Like the idea that viruses aren't real. I myself know genetic engineers worked with viruses like extensively and made their own, and like know that viruses are real. So I'm grateful again for the different connections and not just physical connections with people, knowing people that have been in these industries and stuff, but also like the spiritual discernment. I'm really grateful for that through this whole process and everything. But yeah, my whole point again is that they're just all of these. I don't believe that they're convincing, but other people do. Clearly, they put a lot of effort into making elaborate videos and just stuff to get us off track. So that was my 20-minute rant to say that. Hey, Wood Chipper 10K, how's it going? um, interesting name there. It's common sense. Pee is waste. Yes, exactly. And I think, is it a lot of blood over intent people? I don't even know if are you guys still alive? Well, I know that one is still alive because they just randomly pop up. I don't know if you guys know this Brett person that's part of blood over intent. They're just like covered in tattoos, and I don't know. They've like just, they'll randomly come on like, oh my gosh, you're like, they'll just like kind of almost love bomb me, but then like turn on me. And so now as soon as they come in with the love bombing, I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like I don't even acknowledge. I'm just waiting for the other hand, right? Like you're like reaching out this hand with love, and this hand's coming in with like a slap or a punch or like maybe even a knife. Like I don't know. But anyways, they promote drinking pee, some of them, and obviously drinking blood and all of that evil type of black magic stuff. So Cool says germs debunk corona was an eye opener. Interesting. Is that the video title on YouTube? I guess COVID and other disease is linked to 5G and other radiation. Viruses are real. They're just not what everyone thinks they are. And what the cell and what that they are is cell debris, not the cause of disease. Well, I actually have a few memes on Facebook that and here on my YouTube community to go into like extensive. I asked my genetic engineer friend, like, show me like if I wanted to bake a cake, right? There's a simple list of ingredients and steps that I got to go through. I got to collect these things. I got to put them together. I got to bake them, right? Give me a really easy process of how to make a virus, right? And there's a simple process that they go through to collect different proteins and put them together into cells and allow them to grow in these cells. So viruses are inherently parasitic in nature. They need a host cell to continue to survive. And some of them are harmful to deliberately make us get sick. Just like your computer virus, right? Like they're not making a computer virus just for fun. It causes issues for you, like it causes problems in the computer. And there are also different ways that can be used, like for gene therapy in more positive ways. So not all viruses are made the same. They don't have different modes of transmission. They don't have different intent, right? Not every genetic engineer is trying to make a cold virus or whatever like they're doing. But these are all unnatural. They don't exist in nature. A virus can't just make itself. All of these different proteins that have to be gathered and put together into a cell, into a host cell, that just doesn't happen outside of a genetics lab. So yeah, people don't know what viruses are, and they're released periodically to like give us this illusion of cold and flu season, to keep all these people coming back in for their yearly jabs and all of this, illusion. It kind of also goes into the whole, oh, Mother Earth is trying to kill us, right? Like, um, obviously there are natural disasters and stuff, but a lot of it is like what we're doing to the earth, not only just releasing different viruses, which is what we're doing, but even like drilling for oil, right? The oil is the mother's blood. And let's say, like, if a mosquito landed on you and just kept like sucking blood from one spot and just like sucking it dry, like, well, first of all, as soon as a mosquito lands on you, like, get off of me. So like earthquakes and other types of things that the mother does to react to what we're doing, but so much of it is weather modification as well, and other things again that we're doing. So it'll be really cool during the golden age to see like, oh wow, cold and flu season doesn't even exist. Like that's not even a thing anymore, and so many other things. I was actually gonna go up there a little bit to record today, and there's like a radio frequency tower just right up the way to Mount Shasta. Like, I'm pretty close to the top, well, to Old Skibo at least. So it's interesting to think of like how that's messing with the frequencies and stuff, right? Like, if it is pointed right at this or at the top where everyone basically gathers and goes to feel the frequencies and the energy and all of that stuff, you know, and not only just with 5G, but other things that they can do with the same type of technology, like dispel a crowd, right? Like they can literally blast frequencies that make you like feel nauseous, like right on the spot, like make you feel dizzy, make you feel they like it's you can look online, like they've used it in the military for different applications like that. So it's interesting. Cole says, "I value your perspective. Mine is different for sure." Okay, sweet. I definitely will like to look into that. But yeah, my information definitely comes from like someone that I trust, genetic engineers that like have actually worked with them. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. I know there's a lot of misinformation and stuff with every topic, so that's kind of what we're. Yeah. That's such a agree. David D says a computer virus. That's just computer detoxing. Just kidding. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, they've convinced us. If they could convince us that the sky was green, that they would do it. It's just anything that they, especially if they have something right in front of you that disproves it as well. So yeah, I made a meme about that before, David, which I'm sure that you've seen before. Cole says, "Do you think that Starlink is a better alternative?" That's actually what I'm using right now. So that's kind of why I was laughing. But I don't really know because my internet at home is really bad. I live in the woods, and it's just like, well, not that that's if there's all these satellites going on, why don't we have really great internet? But also, they're deliberately causing issues with our previous technology so that they can get us to beg for 5G, right? Like if your 4G is so bad, so many of us are addicted to our phones, people are going to be like, we need 5G, give it to us now, and they're begging for it. And you know that's how they constantly get us, our enemies. They like basically make the forbidden fruit, the whatever poison it is, seem so enticing that we basically beg for it and take it, and then we kill ourselves, right? And then they just laugh. Like, wow, this was super easy. I didn't even have to do anything. I just convinced them that the poison ivy was like, the best thing they could eat. I don't know. I don't think eating poison ivy could kill you, but you get the point. Um, Daisy says they make so much effort corrupting Shasta. They only allow it to be open for 4 months. Exactly. And I do understand, I guess, like it would take a lot of resources to like plow the roads because obviously during this winter, I almost said summer, During the winter, it snows up here, right? But I don't know. They're willing to use all these resources to drive all the way up the mountain. This didn't happen recently, but they've used resources to drive all the way up the mountain to put out a fire that was perfectly contained and safe with like multiple fire trucks and police and like all this big shindig for no reason. So why can't you just plow the road, you know? But yeah, they don't want us to access these things anyways. It's about control. During the golden age, we can fix these things really easily, right? That's just plow it. That's just as simple as it needs to be. Um, David says the 2G is basically non-existent anymore. Used to work fine for years. Now it no longer works. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know what G's work around here. Kyle, I'm gonna look up product artichoke really quick. Let's see. Oh, is that like to choke the internet? You know, like, ooh, that's cool. Product artichoke. Product artichoke dip. Okay. Okay. Now I'm actually kind of curious. I'm not really a big fan of artichokes, but okay. Anyways, Kyle, is this a real thing or are you just making this up? Here we go. All right. A mind control program that gathered information together with the intelligence. Where'd that go? Okay. Initially known as Project Bluebird. Okay, interesting. The product artichoke officially arose on August 20th, 420. Okay. Oh wait, that's not. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about 420, but anyways, moving along. It was operated by the CIA Office of Scientific Intelligence. The primary goal of Project Artichoke was to determine whether a person could be involuntarily made to perform an act of attempted assassination. The project was also studied the effects of hypnosis, forced addiction to morphine and other chemicals, including LSD, to produce amnesia and other vulnerable states in subjects. It was succeeded by project. Do I keep saying product? Project MK Ultra. Interesting, interesting. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that 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 it had to do with that. But I'm talking a little bit about. I think you're saying that in response to my thing about the frequencies. Though there's a video of some military intelligence guy talking in more extensive lengths about how they can use the same type of 5G radio frequency tech to dispel crowds and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure as far as the product artichoke goes and them. Well, okay, two different things. I know they are trying to play around with mind control and get people to do things and all that stuff. But we live in a consent-based reality, so I don't. That's kind of like some territory that's not consent, right? If they are like if they just blasted me with a frequency and got me to go and kill like the next person that I see, like where's the consent in that? And like that just I don't know, different than them blasting me with a frequency that maybe like I'm just standing here and all of a sudden like I like can't see anything and I have to sit down and like I have to like I can't interact with the world anymore, right? Like putting me on my bum, right? Um, so I don't know about that, and also like let's see some. I'm not actually asking to see this. Let's just. I'm on Mount Shasta. I'm not trying to manifest this. That's not my. I'm gonna try to say like let's see where these real murders are. Let's see some of the real murders and what they're supposedly like getting people to do because I don't believe any news stories just to begin with. Everything in our reality is pretty much fake, and that includes the news. Like they'll go through really elaborate, like extensive, elaborate hoaxes, put on these Hollywood productions to make you think that someone went and shot up a school or, you know, 9/11, like all of these different. I'm gonna get flagged for saying 9/11 is the inside job. Um, they'll go through really great lengths to trick us and make us believe just different things. Maybe it's for a laugh, maybe it's to scare us, maybe what's coming to mind is those, the shock, Milgram shock, or is it Milgram shock test and the Stanford prison experiment, right? We're told all these things, humans are monsters, all of these. But then you look into like unreleased documentation and it's like, oh, well, with the people that were shocking, right? They didn't believe that someone was actually getting shocked or they stopped. They were being pressured by the scientists that said, oh, if you don't continue, if you don't continue, all the day's work is gone. We're gonna have to start again. Like putting pressure on them to finish the experiment. Um, Otherwise, like there's just stuff that's just so much that's not given to us to make us think that humans are evil and all these different programming. So, anyways, um, yeah. David D says product artichoke tip. Yeah. That's funny. Aliens are really demons and they control our governments. Yes, exactly. Interdimensional entities. And if they're, I recently went to this little healing gathering thing and it was interesting and they had some kind of cool crystals that did I paid for like a healing session that was like $50 or something, and they put one on my third eye, they put one on my heart, and maybe on my stomach too, and then I had some in my hand and I did feel like some pulsating, and at one time I kind of felt like I was being rocked on a boat and stuff. But crystals and other parts of matter have that like different effects. Their explanation is that it's from this alien ship that came from like I don't even know what exaggerated number of light years away, and their ship crashed and we got to uncover it, like just this huge fanatical over the top exciting story, which I'm not saying that demons don't have ships that could crash and stuff, but it's just like I don't know, I just stop believing the stuff when they start talking about this. And then you also have to question the entities that they're working with, because if those entities are promoting the space deception, then I mean they're lying to you, right? Obviously, the other entities, like there are rules, right? Like the Truman Show, the other characters in the show can't just come in and like ruin the show, right? Those that are backstage don't come to center stage. There's rules, right? Kind of in the same way there are in this reality, where the Jinn aren't just like around us in the physical. They're not just showing themselves to us. When you have interactions with these extraterrestrial entities, these interdimensional entities, they know the rules of the game, that they're not allowed to just be like, oh, by the way, we're doing, they just can't, they're, yeah, whatever. So I think that there are entities that can be honestly worked with within those parameters, whether they just don't, you don't need to just go into this elaborate story about where you came from in this planet that's far, far away and all this stuff. It's just like, there's some ground that can be worked with these entities that's honest, right? And ultimately we need to be able to work with all of the entities under the dome to get to a golden age, because there's only one canvas that is Earth, and there can only be one thing that's happening. So yeah. How's it going, Queenie H. Roddy? Mohandas, how's it going? It's to take away our gun rights. Undeniable. Yeah, I believe that we should have the right to defend ourselves in whatever way that is necessary. I don't believe in hunting rights, though. Like I don't believe that we have the right to go and kill animals. Honestly, if you want to go and take on an animal, get barehanded, big guy. Like let's see it. Let's take on a lion. You want to think that you're like the apex predator? Honestly, let us see you in the Colosseum with the hungry lion. You're going in by consent. This is all your choice. You're the one that's saying, "Oh, you're so big and bad and tough that you can just harm animals." Like, let's see it happen. Let's see it not be a little cow that's, you know, these men, I don't even want to call them men, males, and that go in the rodeo, right? And they're thinking that they're so tough and wonderful because they're beating up a baby cow. Like, sure, the baby cow is a lot heavier than you, but you have the advantage of just being in the position that you're in, and it being it's just all in the human's favor in this situation. So let's see you, Mr. Rodeo Clown. Let's see you go in with a lion that's hungry with your bare hands and see who's the predator and who is the prey. David D says, news is all fake. Real death is hidden. Oh, yeah, that's another thing I was going to mention. Like, oh, Queen Elizabeth died at night. I don't even know when they say how old they died. But like these entities never actually die when they tell us that they die. The powers that be want us to believe that everything's fake. Isn't there like a quote or something that says like, when the American people believe that when everything that they believe is fake, then we'll know that our campaign has succeeded or something like that. I don't know, something to that extent. I believe I've read. Hey Bob, how's it going? I don't know if you saw my video last week, but I was talking a little bit about the astrocartography session that I had with Jane. That was so cool. And it's kind of driven a lot more into my deep dive. Those too much words. My dive into astrology and kind of trying to implement these in my own spiritual growth. So that's really cool. And whenever I get the papers and stuff, I'll send along to you. Super stoked about that. But I also told Jane to take her time in getting them to me because I know she was traveling and settling back in and has her own stuff going on. So, anyways, hey, Wood Chipper says, gotta go. Hope to catch you live again. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for. I hope you have a great day as well. Um, Kev Fortuna says, maybe I'm not here. Well, who's talking to me if you're not here? If you need to reach out to me on Instagram or something, or Facebook, if you're having some difficult times, you can do that and not in this forum. Dave G says these inverts are the actors in the Truman Show. They are all deceiving us constantly. Yeah, and that just reminded me of the They Live movie, right, where they put on the glasses and they can see these creatures in the midst of humanity, right? And then one of the scenes has like one of the creatures, right? These monsters, like carrying their well, I don't think they were even carrying their shopping. I think they had like a bunch of humans like carrying the shopping for them and kind of just like fawning over them like they're this royalty, and that's kind of what they want, right? They're like these not to be like strictly physical, because obviously their soul is really dark and bad too, but like they're abominations to God. Like these things are just really just monsters, and they've gotten us to call them kings and queens and like praise them. And like, I mean, I even find myself like especially when it comes to like my favorite musicians growing up, there's binding magic there, right? Like when you listen to someone's music, when you like you keep coming back for more, right? Oh, my favorite artist, my favorite actor, my favorite actress, our favorites, right? We keep coming back for more, and every time that we like every time they're singing our favorite songs to us and we're singing with them, like that's a like a binding activity. You're bonding together, you're connecting yourselves at all of these different levels, not just a physical, like that we're doing activities together, but like there's an emotional bond, there's a mental, a physical soul connection. So yeah, trying to break that with like my favorite musicians and artists and stuff, it's like it's kind of it's interesting to see, because I can kind of step back and allow myself to not think about it, and I'm like, oh, whatever. But then as soon as I look a little bit closer, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an invert, they're a demon. Like there's just too much truth there. But it's just kind of interesting because I still feel that binding magic to them, and it's a hard thing to break. So yeah, understandable that they want to be in these places too, so that like, when crap hits the fan, when humans start to wake up, There can be a lot of anger, especially, I mean, I don't really feel angry myself. I mean, I guess I do, but some of the guys, especially that I've talked to, and they're like, wow, I was like really into this model or whatever, and like they were really into them, but then they found out that it was a dude, right? They're pissed, like they're ready to like, where's my Second Amendment rights? Like let's go. Um, so there, but there's like a protective measure mechanism too that's like with that binding magic. So it's just an interesting dynamic to kind of observe and process through, I guess. Um, anyways, Mohanda says Second Amendment wasn't put in place in case zero revolt. Yes, I agree. I agree. Well, I mean, I don't really believe in the founding of America as we were taught and all of that. Um, but I get the sentiment of it, and I agree with I agree with that. Kyle says a rodeo dude snapped the poor sacred sacred, well, they are sacred, right? Scared cow's neck, wrestling it to the ground, all for public entertainment. I think I might have seen that video. It was on Instagram, and they like the other workers brought out these like huge cloths almost to try to like cover what had happened, and other guys brought like a stretcher. If we're talking about the same one, they literally killed the cow, and they had to bring a stretcher thing to move it. But yeah, it was interesting that they try to almost block it off from the public. Like, you guys are there to see violence against an animal, and you're surprised that, like, the one that I saw, I'm not sure if it was a lasso, but like actually, when you're yanking on an animal's neck like this, and you can cause all sorts of injuries, and then with the lassoing thing, you get an animal to take off like as fast as it can, and then you yank its neck back the other way. Like, imagine if that was you. How would that feel? It would not feel good, let me tell you. Like, I can just feel the pain that they're going through, and it's just being an empath is tough sometimes. David D says, when everything the American population believe is false, our work will be done. Woohoo! Thank you for sourcing that for me. David also says, the rodeo is so cruel. They want to restart rodeo in Shasta Valley in Montague. Oh yeah, someone that I just met on the mountain the last full moon was telling me about the Montague rodeo. I totally forgot about that until right now, but I was like, I don't know how they didn't realize, because I'm pretty sure I was wearing like a Make Shasta vegan like bra and all my vegan like whatever. But I was like, oh yeah, tell me more about this rodeo right around the corner, right? Because I'm ready to go and protest. Even especially in California, with how I don't really agree with liberal stuff. But when it comes to animal welfare, I'm all on board for that. We specifically here should be able to get all of these things shut down. There's actually a protest someone was telling me about in Sonoma County, maybe, to end factory farming. It's either factory farming or, yeah, I think it was factory farming. I was going to say slaughterhouse, but I think I'm confusing my own ideas, which I want to shut down, basically start with the county and shut down the slaughterhouse. So now everyone has to pay for their animals to be shipped even further. So it puts more of a strain on the companies, and hopefully they go out of business. If you are multi-generational dairy farmer, I don't really see you as any different as a multi-generational human slave owner. It's slavery. You're doing something evil. Just because your family has done it, just because that's your livelihood, it doesn't make it right. It's far past time for us to be reevaluating all the things that we've been taught, all the things that we've been programmed to go along with, and all of these ways of our society, to become better versions of ourselves. And as well as I do, that doesn't include you enslaving animals, putting your hand up their rear end to try to rape them pregnant, calling that husbandry. You know how sick that is? You call yourself like an animal husbandress, an animal husband, and you're literally sexually violating cows. Like, do some soul searching and figure out why those wires are twisted and how we can untwist them. Okay. Um, Bob says, I saw that you mentioned astrocartography, which is very new to me. I thoroughly enjoyed myself at the Mount Shasta Conference, July 18th through 21st, which was topped off with joining in on this full moon celebration at Old Ski Pool. Yeah, that was so cool to see. You just kind of like showed up, and I actually, it slipped my mind that you were going to be there, and so it was kind of a little bit of a surprise. I'm like, oh, Bob's here. Like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, I'm stoked to talk more about the astrocartography when I get the papers, because as I've mentioned before, my Mars line goes like right through or right near Mount Shasta, which has to do with this like warrior energy, and there's just like a lot of cool ties into all of that. So yeah. Davey says it's really impressive. Queen had a huge fire while Fed restrictions were in place. Actually, they don't even have the signs up anymore at the bottom. So we'll see if that's the case in a week, or if they flip the sign on the night of my event. I mean, they know that we're gonna do it anyways. So what's the point? I don't know. David says humans get very upset when they realize every celeb, every leader is a puppet of Satan, an inverted abomination to God, right? And so it's like at the same time as this awakening process happened, not just with the child trafficking and the child eating, adrenochrome, all that stuff. But like you're saying, like awakening to the inversion, awakening to everything, right? Like it's, I don't know about, I can't really speak for you guys, but for me, like especially in 2015, I will like flatter the invert, like it was a lot at one time. It wasn't like the deepest dive into all of those things at once. Like flat Earth for me was just super obvious. So like as soon as I saw Mark Sargent, hey Mark, if you're here, shout out to you. The Under the Dome full documentary, it's just like that. It just makes too much sense. I don't know. It's just a click thing. And also, we've been through this so many times that just sometimes when your soul just recognizes truth, it's there. Um, but yeah, I remember at the time telling the guy that I was dating, like, oh, all your favorite basketball stars are inverts, you know, like you've never seen a real girl on TV, just teasing him about it at the time. And I knew that it was true, but I didn't learn how to transvestigate till like much later. But anyways, my whole point was like a lot came in at one time, and I don't know if I was like upset to the point where I'm ready to like go and like, you know, hurt people, but yeah, it's definitely a lot to take in and can be very upsetting, and still is, to, you know, go through all of this. I'm definitely grateful for this online community and the people that have kind of been going through this process with me throughout the years, and like even seen me when I was in my Torah days and all of that, like just the whole, I mean, it's almost been a decade. Like that's kind of crazy to think about, and crazy too to think about like the people that are completely still asleep that have never even heard about flood. Like even my own family is just like, it's not even on their radar other than me talking about it. And it's kind of like they don't really want to get into any controversial topics or anything. It's kind of like a shutdown, like we, you know, it's not important, whatever. You know, flat earth isn't important, but the recent NFL game, you know, my favorite team lost is the end of the world. But did you know the statistics of this guy? Like, and then they just rattle off. Like, I'm not saying this is everybody, but you know, it's kind of interesting how many people in our world are like that. But anyways, I'm just going off on my own tangent now. Carol says it's the same video. Okay, I should find that on Instagram and put it onto the Shasta Vegan Community Facebook page, because that is, it's really sad, and there's just so many. I kind of my own train of thought. I was gonna apologize about how jumpy it is sometimes when I'm like going back to a topic, because the chat is not at the same time that I am, so we kind of bounce back and forth. So I apologize for that, but also it's kind of cool to just go with the flow. Anyways, yeah, I should post that. David D says multi-generational dairy is multi-generations of the same family doing evil to innocent souls. Exactly. And imagine the family karma too that you're racking up. And like, I don't know, for me, as soon as it kind of made the connection, like for dairy cows, I could never go vegan because I could never give up cheese. All right, well, what does a dairy cow even go through, right? Well, like she's raped, pregnant. Would I want to do that? No. Like, okay, and now that she's pregnant, and like cows don't really have the same, like, when I connect to them, they don't have the same feeling as like these women in our world that are like, oh, I need to have an abortion for whatever reason. Like, the cow that got raped pregnant isn't seeking to go and kill that baby. Like, when that baby comes out, the cow mom is like wanting to love that baby. And, you know, there's that maternal bond that's not disconnected emotionally and through all of the different programming that we have in our world. So yeah, would I want to be raised pregnant? No. Would I want my child to be stolen from me? No. Would I want to be, you know, used as a milk machine? No. So all of these things, it's like I can't be non-vegan anymore. Like, so yeah. Ultimately, if you have to think of your own selfishness to go vegan, then do it, because the most selfish choice that you can make is to go vegan and actually care about yourself, your karma, your body, your health, your well-being, mind, body, and soul. And you know, if you're not that selfish, then just think about the animals. Either way, you're vegan and the world's going to be a better place. So hopefully you came here to make a better place, because there's a lot of souls that didn't, and we're working against them. So back to the unification. You know, hopefully you're dreaming of a better world where animals and humans are free, a golden age for you and me. Yeah. Kyle says, I think it's on a Graphic Vegans page. All right, sweet. Well, I'll look into that. But I'm actually getting ready to get off of here. I got to go and help a friend out today. So I've really enjoyed this time with you. Look at this sweet view of Mount Shasta. It's really nice. Plus the sun's about to come and blast on me. So I'm going to get out of here, but I've had a great time chatting with you guys and hope to... Bob says, hey, Anand, I got to ask, how are you getting internet access Starlink? Yes, that is... Can you see? Am I even pointing to anything that you guys can see? Okay. I'm like, anyways. It works pretty good. It actually moved by itself, which I saw for the first time today. I was like, whoa, this demon possessed machine is like readjusting. But anyways, thankfully the ghost of the machine was kind to me and let me stream. So I'll be nice to it. David says, have a good day. You too, David. Hopefully you get some good sleep, some good rest from your long night of work. All right, guys. See you next time. Next week, same time, same place. May God and the Goddess bless you.